Hey, ladies, welcome back to another episode of the Revitalized Womanhood podcast. And I'm joined today with my newest friend, Sara Johnson, who we met through, and this is so on topic, on brand for this month, because you don't know, Sara, but the monthly topic in my women's community this month is creating your village and finding the right people, finding the right people are even in this season for you to have around you and support you, because that's not necessarily the same people that you've always had in your life, right? It's finding the people who are supporting you in this particular season. And it's so great because we met while I was doing that and while you were probably doing that. And we met at an impact walk, which Samantha Parker puts on for local, not even just businesses. She just kind of puts it out there. If you want to come and meet cool people, come and go walk with us. And that's why I was there. What got you there? How was your connection to all that?
I was brought in by a friend who had done it before and knew Samantha. And I'm fairly new to St. George. And she said, you need to come. There are some great people here. And it was fantastic. I met you.
I know. I said to Sam, I was like, gosh, because I really don't go there with, I really don't have any intention. Like, I'm not going there like some of the businesses are there to actually meet other businesses. And that's a beautiful, wonderful thing. But I'm just like, I'm just here to meet cool people. I'm just here to go for a walk. I'm just whatever. I don't even have an agenda. I'm just here. I'm just saying yes to the thing. Yeah. So we're both just here saying yes to the thing. And we got to talk to each other. And I was like, Sara, your story is blowing my mind. I really want you to be on the podcast. And have you ever done a podcast before?
No, I've done television a lot when I first wrote
television.
My book. So, yeah.
Oh, right. We need to get into that. Yeah. So, well, I would love for you to please just kind of introduce yourself to my audience, to my listeners, and then we're going to jump right into this.
Okay. So I am, how do you describe what a medical mutant I am? But I went through menopause when I was 12 and 13. So it totally changed the trajectory of my life. I actually at the time thought I was dying of cancer. It's really funny what you believe as a child becomes your absolute, right? And I remember asking a school nurse one time, I think I was too embarrassed to talk to my parents about it because back then you didn't talk about like cancer or infertility. Like you just didn't say words like that. And so I asked my school nurse, so what does it mean if you haven't had your period in a while? Like, because I was like, it happened for 2 months and then that was it. So I was like, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, it could mean a myriad of things. And she rambled off whatever. But she said cancer. And in my mind, my little 12-year-old mind, I was like, I have cancer. So I'm going to die. So for the next several years of my life, I thought I was dying of cancer. It's kind of funny now it's funny because I would sit there and be, I savored life. Let's just put it that way. Every day was a gift to me. And I had a big family. There were 7 kids and I loved my family. So I would savor my Christmases and my birthdays, and it finally, when I got to about 20 and I wasn't dead, I thought something's going on. But it's really
So you really didn't talk about it at all other than that nurse?
Crazy? Right.
Oh,
I never
didn't
bring it up to doctors. I was a gymnast. And so I knew it was kind of common to not have your period. So I talked to my friends who were fellow gymnasts and she's like, oh, I haven't had my period in 6 months. Or I haven't, you know what I mean? So I was like, I never had it again. Like that was it. And so I don't know why it's taught me a lot about the brain of a child too. Like you can tell a child something or they can interpret something or, their perspective of something and that's their truth. Right. And so my poor kids, like I was always like, how did you understand that? When I said that to you, what does that mean to you? Because I wanted to make sure that they were interpreting actual truth because for several years I thought I was dying. So I went for my first pap smear and I didn't bring my mom because I didn't want her to be devastated to hear my cancer diagnosis. And I'm laying on the table and I tell the doctor I have cancer. And the doctor's like, oh. So anyway, that was my first introduction. Yes,
self-diagnosed cancer, by
bless
the way.
his heart. He didn't laugh at me. Bless his heart. He was just like, yeah, it could be a lot of things. So that's when I actually went on the correct path of finding out that I had actually gone through menopause. But it was about 6 or 7 years of the best doctors in the world coming to see me and to basically dissect me because they were like, nobody has ever gone through menopause at this
Right.
age. And so lots of study. But my that's just a part of who I am, right? That's these experiences make up who we are. Would I trade it and go back and say, Sarah, you didn't have cancer when I was a young child? I don't think so. Because it
Mm.
totally made me um just become very grateful for everything I had. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I've
yeah.
kind of said that people who get diagnoses of this kind of a thing or people who have near death experiences, it's unfortunate, but it's a
Mhm.
blessing because they have
Mhm.
an opportunity now to see life in a completely different way than everybody else. And
Yes.
so it's a blessing and a curse, right?
Mhm. Mhm. It's true. It's true. And it makes you well, let's just say you don't involve like there's a lot of things I didn't get involved in that I wish I had. Like I was very conservative on relationships because I didn't want to hurt anybody else. So
Oh,
I didn't really dive into a whole like girls, yes, but I didn't have a lot. I had boyfriends, but I would usually break up within a few months because I just thought if I got too serious. So there was things like that, or but it really kept me good. Like when you think you're going to die any minute, you're
yeah.
staying away from the bad stuff too. So
Yeah.
it comes with its pros and cons. But then the actual diagnosis was almost like I was comfortable with my process. I had grown up with thinking I was going to die. Is that weird? And so when it was you're going to live, I was floored. I honestly didn't know what I was going to do. All of a sudden I had this life ahead of me that I really didn't experiment and think that I was going to have. And that totally changed my perspective of life. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go to college? Am I going to have a career? You know what I mean? So it was like all
Right.
this stuff that I had never really paid attention to or thought of before opened up. So that was a whole different, just kind of a mindset to think, oh, so,
Absolutely.
you
Now you
know,
have
I
to
am
start
going to,
asking these
yeah,
questions. Like, wait a minute,
yes.
okay, what does life for me look like 10 years from now, 20 years from
Mm-hmm.
now?
Mm-hmm.
When
Which
all
I'd
of
never
us
done before.
I was going to say, so when
Mm-hmm.
you were a child doing these things, these are the moments when you're like, I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be, let's see, what was I when I was 12? I was like, I'm going to be a TV reporter. I'm going to be a oh, whatever, right? So when you were 12, you just weren't thinking about those kinds of things?
My goal was to um, leave good memories for people that loved me and knew me. You know what I
Are
mean?
you
Like do good
serious?
things and like, isn't that that's crazy? Like when you're a
That's
child, you have these.
beautiful. It breaks my heart for you. But at the same time, what an incredible opportunity to see life in that way at a young age and you want to leave good memories for people. But
That was my
what
goal.
kind
Was
of feels
just
like, did it feel like a burden to do that? Or did it feel like a
mm,
blessing?
I felt like a blessing. Like
Did
it
it?
didn't feel like a burden, which is really weird because I felt like I
Yeah.
kind of had mourned. I think that well, we've all experienced death and of a loved one, and I think it's easier to be the one who is leaving than the one being
Hmm.
left. And so, I had come to peace with whatever was gonna happen.
Right.
I'm very much this is the fate, the way life is, karma, whatever you wanna call it. And so I just thought I was more concerned about the people I was going to leave for being upset, if that makes sense. I was worried
Yeah,
about them.
absolutely does.
So,
Absolutely does. Wow. So where do you go
it's crazy.
from there now that because what are you now when you've got the diagnosis finally? You're 20. I
I
mean, you've
am
gotten it and you're going through all these experimental, like, are you serious? This is really the thing. So where were you at that time in your life as far
right.
as college age? Where were you?
Yes. So I was 24 and I was dating. Actually, I was engaged, and I had never really let a relationship go past about 3 months. But this guy just broke down on my walls. And I think for a moment, I finally said, I want to have what everybody else has had. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
was still, I hadn't got the for sure diagnosis. We were still going through a lot of it. And in fact, one of the doctors even said, well, we can't rule out cancer. Well, that just spiraled me right into, all these
sure.
other things. So I started dating him and I fell in love with him. And I thought, I'm just going to let myself have this moment and worry about what comes later. Is that bad? I just kind of thought, I'm just going to let myself just live in the moment, and just enjoy
I
it.
think the way that you had been living with it, thinking this is it, my time is, not
Hmm.
finite. And you'd been living that way. So your mind was already in that place of just be present, right? Be present, stay present. And so I think, gosh, if more of us could have had those, not the way you got it, but that's what we're all trying to ground ourselves I should say, in my traveling with my family, in my motherhood, in when we're mothers of young children, in different seasons, we're like, just be more present. Just be more present. If I could just be more present. Or I have other women who are saying things like, in my community, who are like, I wish I had more time to do X. I wish I had more time to do this. And it's like, well, what is that going to equal to you if you have, if you can't make more time? None of us can, right? None of us can make more time. We can in ways like being more mindful and intentional about it. But tomorrow, I said to him the other day, I said, tomorrow you could get hit by a bus. We can't make more time. It's the most valuable thing we have. So
Absolutely.
what does it look like? Say you have how much time equals enough to do the things what you're
Exactly.
thinking. So what an incredible thing for you to be already clicked into that mindset. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
You're good. No, your perspective totally changes. The things that are not really super important are easy to filter out. Things that are more important come to the forefront. And I've realized that since I've gone to a normal life or whatever, you have to work on that. Like, it was always in my mind, whereas now I have to consciously think, what
Right.
am I spending my time on? Right? Like, is this important? Where am I investing my time? Is this the best way to spend it? Whereas before it was natural to me. So it's kind of interesting how you can use it or lose it
I
as a habit.
absolutely think that your brain to me, it's the easiest thing to compare to going to the gym. You have your
Mm,
abs, but to keep those abs, you know what you have to do. You have to eat right. You have to go to the gym. You have to work them. So same thing for mindset, same thing for good boundaries, same thing for these kinds of practices. You have to practice them. I had a gal on my call last night say, um, I will do it when I'm more confident. And I'm like, you can't do anything when you're more confident because you have to do the thing to build the confidence. You
exactly.
have to.
Exactly.
So here you are engaged, going to get
Yes.
married. Did you marry this man?
So then I went, and finally my mom was clued in, and she was so angry that I had gone all these years because we're
Oh,
close. It's not like I wasn't
yeah.
close with my mom. It's a different, anyway. It's kind of a weird mindset we have as kids. But um, then the doctors were like, there are some big problems here. And I thought, I don't want this poor man to be stuck with me, a woman who probably can't have kids and who knows what health issues. Um, they were really slow to diagnose me with the official diagnosis is premature ovarian failure. And they were very slow to want to diagnose me because they thought, who at 12 years old goes through menopause? This is crazy. But I definitely knew there was something. So I went home and broke up with him the day that I met with the doctor and realized it was very serious when it came to those kinds of health issues. So I broke up with him, gave him the ring back, and said, I can't do this to you. You deserve better. I love you, but I'm not going to, tie myself to somebody that has to go through this with me. And I said, I can't have kids. I don't know what my life looks like. I don't know what my health looks like. Um, and he was amazing. And he was just like, I'm marrying you, not a potential vision of a family or a vision of what an Instagram perfect looking family and lifestyle. That's not what I'm marrying. I'm marrying you and I'm going to stick with you through this. And he was amazing. So we got married. And after the honeymoon, we decided to dive in, and we spent a lot of time at Johns Hopkins and at George Washington Medical Center in DC, and doctors from all over flew in. And there was I felt like a big, huge lab rat, lots of petri dishes. I felt like
I
I
bet.
would go into a room and they would do all kinds of stuff, and there would just be teams of doctors. And I just remember thinking, I'm in Hawaii. I'm not here. I'm in
Oh,
Hawaii.
my heck.
But they kept saying, whatever you're doing is going to help women. We don't understand women's bodies. Well, this will help. And I kept thinking of all the women, if this helps, there's there's a purpose right there. Like, if I've been
Yeah.
spared and if this is to do that. So, um, then the final diagnosis came, and I found out that I had hypothyroidism, severe osteoporosis. I had about a 35% bone loss, and I had basically the body of an 80-year-old woman at that point in my life. and I was 28. Um, and I thought, well, that's not good. And they were like, don't exercise, don't move, don't do anything. Like you are like an 80-year-old skeletal woman who has severe osteoporosis who could break anything and everything at once. They wanted me to be in a glass house pretty much. I was like,
Right.
well, this work for me. I don't know what to do about this. Um, and then I said, but I do want to have kids. And they said, well, it's not like we can't do any worse than what's already happened to you. So if you want to, we can try all kinds of experimenting and go to the basically the laboratory or the business that invented in vitro with a team of doctors from all over. And that was in Maryland. So I said, sure. And it's funny when you get to a certain level of being really weird medically, usually you kind of have to fight to get into doctors that are really good, right? But when you're this
They want
bizarre,
you.
they're coming to
They want you. They're
exactly.
begging you to do these things,
Yes.
especially because now you are someone that's consenting to being tested. It's just like
Yes.
why we don't have many tests on around certain things with babies and kids is because who's going to test their babies and kids? Who's going to put them through that? Exactly. So yeah, they are knocking down your door. I can imagine.
They were they were coming at me. And I said, well, let's just do what you got to do. And I said, well, if we do IVF, obviously you have no eggs. And they said, but you have sisters. And I have 3 sisters. Long story short, I'm the 3rd sister. And we had to meet with geneticists. This is back in the early days. Like you have to remember,
That's
I'm
what
old,
my brain is
so
thinking this. My brain is thinking this because they didn't even separate women in medical studies until the
Mhm.
90s. So
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
wasn't specific. So while you were doing this was
This was 90s, 94.
yeah.
94.
So they
Yeah.
hadn't separated. So you are on the very forefront of separating women's health in medicine.
Yeah.
I bet they were just
Absolutely.
going gaga over you.
Yeah. I met more doctors than I could count.
So before you get into talking to your sisters about this, I want to
Yeah.
know, is this isn't something that's genetic? Is that a dumb question? Because
No,
you've got these other sisters.
yes, it's a great question. And it's a question that they asked. They studied my family tree. We couldn't find it anywhere. I don't, they're like, did you live near
Wow.
radiation plants? Like they looked
Right.
at everything and nothing, just
Nothing.
no
Okay.
explanation. Very strange. It just happened. So, which made them even more curious.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
we need, because, medical community wants answers.
They want answers. Yeah. They want to be able to say this was caused by this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
they're not okay to say, God put me here with this so that I could create this environment for you all to study so that other women coming later will have these opportunities. They can't. That'll just make their brains blow up.
They just go, ha. But I did have a few moments with that type of thing. It was very interesting. So genetics say that if you have the same parents and certain grandparents, sisters' eggs can look very similar if it's like there's been no male born in between. Anyway, it gets very high tech for me. So they basically said your sister's eggs would be very similar to your eggs. So the problem was my sisters were older and I was already 30 at the time. And so my sisters were like 35 and they were like, this is not ideal. And I was like, this is all there is to work with. So you know what I mean? Like, let's give it a shot. But these were the best. These were the ones that invented it. So I'm like, let's go for it. So they did all kinds of stuff. I don't know how many drugs, so many shots for both my sisters and I, just so much. And they said, we want to do all these different experiments, but it's not going to have long-term effects, but I don't know what your moods are going to be like, but I've never shown any symptoms of my diagnosis, which is very bizarre as well. And so they did all this stuff. And what was amazing was I got pregnant. After they took my sister's eggs, they do the whole 5 days in the petri dish. And then you get to watch these little beautiful bubbles enter you. And you just go, stay there, little guys, and you just pray and pray. And they gave me about a 10 or 15% chance. Now, what's interesting is the doctors did pull me in right before the process. And they said, in good conscience, because I had paid a fortune for this. This was back in the days before, this was a lot of money. And we didn't have a lot of money, but we used every bit. And they said, I think we're not going to do this and charge you. It's such a risk for you that we feel bad.
Right.
They're like, we
well,
honestly,
at least they said that.
I know. They're like, it's not going to work probably. And you know what? This taught me a lot is you have to know your path. you have to know if this is the right thing for you. A lot of women I've talked to about this later, it wouldn't work, didn't work, or it did, or whatever the results were. Um, but for me, I knew this was my path, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen, and I had to stay on it. Does that make sense? And so I
Yeah.
said to the doctors, I feel like my husband and I, we said, we feel like we have to do everything we can possibly do. And then it's in the hands of the universe. Like it's at that point, God's hands. If it happens, it happens. If not, it not. But you'll still learn a lot by
Yeah.
experimenting on me. Right. So let's just go for it. So when the doctor called 2 weeks after the in vitro process and said I was pregnant, he was celebrating. The whole world was celebrating. Like it was
Oh,
huge. And so when we went in after my daughter was born and he was holding her, and now these doctors have degrees. I've never even seen the size of these degrees. They're like the size of huge posters. You know what I mean? Like these are doctors on a whole nother level. And he's holding my daughter. And it was such a surreal moment to see this doctor holding her. And I said, this is so weird. I go, how does it feel to hold something that you basically saw in such micro and did so much
right.
to, you know what I mean? And just a surreal moment. And this was the moment I got chills, but he held her and he looked at her and he looked at me and he goes, I know I had nothing to do with this. And I was like, wow,
That's
beautiful.
that's so beautiful. That is such a nod to the creator because he knew. He's like, this is not going to take. He sees every day how many women come in, how many opportunities, and they still don't come through. And here you are with the lowest of chances. And he's telling you it's not going to work. And that, what a beautiful experience to have him recognize that this is bigger than any of us can even fathom. Mm,
Yeah.
okay. What a little blessing.
Yeah. It was beautiful. It was
Okay,
a
so
beautiful
this is
moment.
your daughter, your first daughter.
So I had my first
And
daughter.
so then it didn't end there, but I'm going to pause there because in this time while you were going through this, you had started a corporate career, right? In
Did.
Virginia, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You had
Yes.
started a
Yes.
big corporate career for yourself, and because you had kind of thought, I can't have kids, so I'm going to throw myself into my career. What did that look like for you in that season of
It
those
was,
thought processes?
I know. I thought, I have to have something I'm nurturing and creating for myself, right? To give myself that purpose. And so I had an amazing career. I um it was so fun. I did get a lot of criticism because women my age are usually married and have a child or two. So there was a lot of
You
judgment,
felt that, huh?
lots of judgment. It's amazing how women kind of don't hold back sometimes,
Isn't it
and it was,
interesting how we're the worst enemy too? It's like we've got all of these enemies in this mind sphere, whatever. Like we're battling the social norms, we're battling the men, we're battling the whatever it is, and then guess who comes in the worst of the worst? And it's each other.
yeah,
And it's,
yeah,
yes, we are changing the narrative, and I'm so proud to be part of
mhm,
that, but it's
yes.
still rampant. It's
And it hurts more.
incredible to me.
Yes, it hurts more than if a man had said something to me. When a woman says
Yeah,
something to me, it hurts
yeah.
more.
Wow,
And I would drive by parks on my way to work into DC, and there'd be
wow.
moms with strollers at the park, right? And I was like, you don't know how much I want that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there would be women that would say, it was amazing. Okay, here's a few of the comments that just amazed me. I heard she doesn't want to lose her figure, which that's hilarious. Anyway, that's why I didn't want to have kids. I was like, that's funny.
Oh,
They were like, she is too selfish. She wants her career and the money and all this stuff rather than a baby. She and her husband are probably just too what is it? What they were like, they're just too self-indulged. Like they just like to be each other. They
right.
don't want to share
Mhm.
their life and just all these things. And I remember thinking, if you only knew that the reason why I'm on that table in that doctor's office being dissected is to help you.
Yeah, help women's
You
help.
know,
Move
we
us
are helping
forward.
women's health. Because I had come to the resolve that if it most likely wouldn't work, but my purpose was to help other women at that point and
Yeah.
to, shoot for the best case scenario, but help other women, help my sisters out there. And it was amazing how a lot of the support was not from my sisters out there. If that makes sense for a long time. But you
Oh
don't talk
my
about these
gosh.
things. You don't know. And it made me
It
slow to
makes
judge
sense. Yeah.
because I thought, we don't know what we're all going through. And so the blessing of that was I just don't judge. I'm like, we're all just doing the best we can. I shouldn't say I don't judge. We all judge a little bit, but I don't.
You're
It
mindful of
almost
it.
makes
You're
me,
mindful of it.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
averse to that. Like if I
That's
hear
the
someone
first
say
thing to
something,
come to your mind is we don't know what they're going through versus
yes,
the first thing to come to somebody else's mind is their own perception of it. And then maybe they catch themselves and they're like, oh, wait, or they don't.
right.
But you have kind of the front row seat of knowing how that feels to be on the other end of it. I
Yeah.
absolutely get that. I think that's another one of your wonderful gifts that you got to have from this journey of struggle, that you have the opportunity to see the world clearly in that way, because what an amazing gift that is for you to continue to help other women,
Build them
right?
up.
Even
That's
to be
like
able
build
build them
up.
up, even be able to
Hmm.
share it on here, because the truest form of self-confidence, the truest form of being able to build other people up is the self-confidence in saying, I'm good, I'm
Hmm.
fine, but it's how you battle people who, when they are saying these things, you're
Yeah.
able to look at them and say, I'm good. But if you're not truly good, you can't help other people in that way. You can't, because all you see is how it's affecting you.
Hmm.
Holy cow. Okay, so back at your corporate career,
Yes.
what in that season was driving you in the corporate part of it? Because you said in your health that you're trying to help women and in women's health. What was it in your career? Was it the fact that you were like trying to prove them wrong? Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
yes, I know exactly what you mean. And it's interesting how life gives us strengths and weaknesses. And when there's an area of weakness, which that was a big area of weakness of mine, this whole health issue, we
Yeah.
can have, the universe gives us great successes. And so I was very good at my job and I was very good at
And was that
at
marketing
just
over there as
that
well?
was
Was it
it was
marketing?
marketing with Marriott. It was sales and marketing and did a lot with Marriott and corporate and event planning and all this. I was over 4 different hotels and it was a
Wow, how
blast.
cool. So
It
fun.
was so fun. It was so fun. And it just gave me so much self-worth. Whereas the other part of my life, I didn't have that self-worth. Does that make sense? So it's like
Yeah.
we have a balance. And so we tap into, you hold on to those strengths and go, okay, this is a struggle for me, but this is a win. So I'm going to take this win and savor it and soak it up so that when I go into that vulnerable place, I have the strength to make it through that vulnerable place. And so when I was hearing negative things about my health or when I was in moments of despair, not going to lie, it's rough. It's rough to be a woman and hear that every part of you as a woman isn't working and
Yeah.
and is broken. And to sit there and go, okay, where's my value? Where's my self-worth? Especially when all of your friends have babies and children and are in that world. And you're just the auntie who loves everyone and is like the fairy godmother. And you're trying to find that, but you don't want to turn to sadness or bitterness. So I focused on, look how good I am at my job. You know what I mean? And that will
Yeah.
carry me through to get me through. So you find that one strength and that helps you cover your weaknesses until they become strengths as well. And that's
I
kind of how
love
I
that you
did.
did that. So in becoming a mother, because motherhood wasn't necessarily going to be part of your story,
Yeah.
what helped you embrace, like, what helped you reshape your priorities and your identity? Because now you're like, okay, well, this is different.
It's very different. It's funny
Very different
because
than what I had. You have all of these moments in your life where you're like, well, I wasn't expecting that.
I used to always say you can't fight the current of your life. Like you just
You
either
can't. You
you get in the
definitely
boat and you make it
can't.
fun. Yeah. You're like,
Yes,
there's times when you try to swim against the current, but it doesn't work. You just build the
yeah.
boat and have fun and just find joy in
Yep.
that current. And just, that's kind of how it was. So yeah, having a child was a lot harder than it looked. You know what I mean? So it's like all of a sudden I was like, and at 33, it's hard to just all of a sudden, um, have this responsibility that you've never had before. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to like, takes me 20 minutes to get in the car and get all these things and pack up, you know what I mean? And just, you're so used to being independent or your own person that you're just like, oh, oh God, this is a lot. Like it took me, a lot of time to pack up and and I have to go to the doctor every 5 minutes. You know what I mean? All these different things with a baby,
Yes.
but I loved every minute of it. It was just a complete life change. But I just was so excited. I was like, I'm part of the cool club. I finally have this beautiful baby. And it was just so fun. But we immediately jumped into doing the IVF again because we had such a short time. So
Yeah.
um yeah, we had to
Exactly.
just kind of boom. So we started again because we had so my girls are about 18 months apart. So it was like as soon as we were up and running, then and the beautiful thing was, they said we learned so much from the first one that we don't have to do a lot of testing on this one. But they said, Sarah, you've changed the face of IVF and you've given the opportunity for thousands and hundreds of thousands of women to have children now because of what we've experimented and done and learned on you. So for me, I feel like, ugh, I
Yeah.
thought I couldn't bring life into this world, but maybe I
You,
did.
yeah. Yeah. You absolutely helped bring life into this world. That's so beautiful to think of it that way. So you have 2 girls and a boy, don't you?
Yeah.
You
So
have
I have
2
3
girls.
sisters. My
Hmm.
2 sisters donated eggs. My third sister is younger than I am, and she was kind of our little rebellious little black sheep of the family, but she got pregnant when it was really weird because I had the girls and they let's see, Jess was about 10 months old. So Tori about a year and a half, two, almost 2. And all of a sudden I got baby hungry, which is so weird.
Mm,
Like I was like, we're done. Like, and I have these 2 beautiful girls and I can't ask for
yeah.
anything more. Why am I baby hungry? So I'm like nesting and my baby's like already like 10 months old and the other one's, and my husband's like, I think she's lost it. Like those hormones have caught up. She's crazy. Like, I'm like, there's one missing. There's one missing.
It's always she's crazy. She's
I know.
crazy.
Especially when like I never have any like,
Put her in the
you
rubber
don't have
room. She's
I
crazy.
know. Because they'd always put me on all these drugs and be like, let's watch her behavior. And I was always super
Yeah.
neutral, not moody, never affected me, like just nothing. And here I am, like nesting. So my husband's like, and we had our pictures taken as a family. And I was like, nope, one's missing. There's one missing. I
Wow.
was pregnant with twins with Jessica. And we lost one of the twins. So I thought maybe I'm mourning this twin in a way I don't realize.
Yeah.
Right. So we kind of are like, this is weird. But I'm like, no, one's really missing. And my husband's like, well, we're out of money and we're out of sisters. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's it. And I was like, I know. And then my sister called. This was probably, about 10 months after Jess was born. And she said, I'm at the hospital and I just had a baby boy and it's yours.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I went to the hospital and now I have my 2.5-year-old and my 10.5-month-old and a newborn. And so I had 3 kids in 36 months. And that was a whole nother journey.
Wow. 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 What an incredible, your whole story and is just proof of things when people don't have faith. It's, well, here's the proof, right? How lucky for you to have those experiences, because that's so beautiful. There are so many cool things that happen. I've got this story just kind of like on this. It's making me think of, I met a friend here in college and her family was from Las Vegas. And I went and met her family one time. We just left college and went for the weekend to Vegas. And I met her family and they have this youngest daughter and she looks identical to all of them. She looks identical to all these sisters. So it never crossed my mind that she was adopted, but it came up in a conversation. Oh, well, she's adopted. I'm like, wow, she looks exactly like all of you. And one of the neighbors had came and knocked on their door in the middle of the night one night and said, my sister, she's just in Vegas and in all sorts of things that you think of trouble in Vegas. And she's had another baby. And like, I felt like I needed to come to you. I felt like I needed to come and knock on your door. And right in that moment, they said, we weren't thinking about this. They've already got like 5 kids, I think at the time, 4 or 5 kids. And they're like, we didn't think of it at all. And it was an instant yes, an instant resounding yes. And this little girl just looks exactly like their family. And I think moments like that are just What a wonderful, beautiful way to see the world as something that's so much bigger than any of us can even comprehend, you know?
Yes. Oh,
Okay, holy
absolutely.
cow.
And adoption
Wow.
is just a beautiful gift. After when I brought him home, I was like, I didn't have to be pregnant. I didn't have to repair from after delivery. I just got this beautiful gift with a bow. Like adoption's amazing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's funny that you say that because my girls look a lot like my husband. My son looks just like me, which is really funny
Oh,
because he's the one I
that
didn't.
is
I mean, I
funny.
really didn't any of them, but you know what I mean? Like it's just
Right,
funny that the one we
right.
adopted, the one that looks just like me. So it's kind of funny.
Okay, so many women struggle when life doesn't go according to plan, right? We all have this in our mind, which to me is so okay. I'm going to tell you, I am not active in a religion. I was raised in a very, very active family, LDS family. And so for whatever reason, I'm not saying it's bad or whatever. I'm just not active. I just don't see religion in the same way they do. I see it in my own ways. However, so I push back on women who I love dearly that are very into their faith. And I say things like, when you see, if you have this much faith, if you have this much conviction in your faith, why then are you so set and determined in a plan that you have created? You have no idea what your path is supposed to be. Yes, I understand free will. I understand that concept. But if you really truly do believe in this, it's the same thing I press back with them when they say they don't have self-confidence or when they talk badly about themselves, because I'm like, if you believe so much in in God and that he created you and that he created you exactly how you are supposed to be for the time in which you are on this earth to do the things that you need to do, how can you not love yourself? How can you not see the beauty in you? And that it just blows my mind that that's conflict. Those are conflicting things that we have to battle, right? So my question for you is, with many women struggling when life doesn't go according to their quote unquote plan. I mean,
Right,
life
right.
life didn't really go according to plan for you. I mean, you didn't really have a plan, right? You
I
just
had no
kind of.
plan.
So what helped you embrace each one of these very dramatic pivots rather than resisting it? Like you said, you have to ride the tide, right?
After the tide.
What helped you?
I love that question because I think that what makes us who we really need to be and who we should be are those hard things, um, those struggles. And
Oh, I agree.
uh, you know what I mean? And I think women are to some degree think that they've done something wrong if all of a sudden something comes up that's hard, or they've messed up if there's all of a sudden this kink in their chain that they, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, no, that's your opportunity. That's your refining to become better. I am attracted to other women that have struggled. Like that's who
Yeah.
I love to talk to and I love to be with, is those that have gone to battle. I remember talking to this one girl one time. I was doing a television show and she asked me, she said, I just have never really got anything through anything hard, like life's just pretty easy and it's just, and I was like, I have nothing to say to that. Like, I had no response.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was like, we have nothing in common. Like, I was just like, but I
Yeah.
remember thinking, well, build your bomb shelter because it's coming. Like you
Yeah.
want to be refined. You want to have that maturity and that season. Like, it's like you just need to marinate in all of the experiences that you've had to become so much better. And that's the
I
salt of our
fully,
flavor.
fully, fully 100% believe that with you. I've had people ask me on podcasts if I would change things and I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And it's funny because did you meet Mindy on the Impact Walk? Did you meet her at all? She's Get the Consultant.
I think I met her, but I didn't talk to her very long. I think I met her
So
though.
she was actually my episode that came out today, my podcast episode today, and we were talking about this. We were talking about the importance of struggle. And she said that women, if she could give advice to someone
Yeah.
that when you feel maybe resentful in something, to be, instead of sit in that resentment, to think of it
Mm,
as an opportunity to say, well, why am I resentful? This is an opportunity for you to grow. This is a struggle.
yeah.
So for that
Yeah.
girl to say that she hasn't struggled, she's missing the moments of the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, because I bet you $1,000,000 there's been times where she's been jealous, or she's been resentful, or she's been. So yes, maybe you didn't suffer a hardship, or maybe you didn't in the traditional sense.
Right. Right.
But my husband and I talk about this all the time, how it's funny when you see the reels pop up that are what I went through as a kid in the 80s, and it's sitting in a car, like on a road trip, watching the drips of water come down the window.
Yeah.
Like that was our entertainment on a road trip. And
Yes.
now our kids have like iPads and tablets and the Switch
Mhm.
and whatever they could possibly want. And I'm so bored, and it's
Yeah.
like,
They have
okay.
so much. We
They
suffered.
have
We
so much. We
suffered.
suffered. But my husband and I talk about this a lot because my kids have been to 88 countries. They've seen the world through a very different lens that I saw the world. And we're like, we need them to suffer. We tell our 14-year-old all the time, the biggest gift we can give you is not making life easy on you. That
Yes.
is the biggest gift we can give you. And he's like, well, are you going to do it on purpose? And we're like, not necessarily, but we're sure going to be mindful of the fact that you need to struggle. That is the only way that you can be a whole, fulfilled, purposeful human being, is in the struggles that you go through.
Yes. And we're not doing our kids any favor to protect them, especially when
No.
they're in our homes. I loved it when my kids would struggle or fall and fail while they were in my home. I could help them and coach them and guide them, right? That's when we want them to learn that resilience and to be able to go, okay, I can get back up. I can get back up. If the first time they feel that was out on their own for the first time as an adult, that's much more crushing and harder to bounce back from. So yeah, we let our kids stumble, fall, get back up, try again, experience that. And the biggest thing I tell my kids is you got to stop comparing. Comparison is it's the worst. It kills your growth because you can't see your own development when you're staring at everybody else's. And you cannot measure your worth against everybody else's. I said I was someone who was so broken that my joke would be, you win, you're the coolest. Like I would just tell them, like I was not broken as far as my confidence. I was broken as far as a woman. Does that make sense? My health was broken.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
women would compare, or they would start to, the one up game or whatever it was. And in my mind, I'm like, you win, you're cooler. You know what I mean? Because it's just when you just don't want to play the comparison
Well,
game
there's no such thing
because
of it. There's no such thing.
no.
There's
Mm-mm.
literally no such thing. Did you ever get into Dr. Edith Egger? Am
Mm-hmm.
I saying this wrong?
Edgar.
She's she's the Holocaust survivor, right? She
Mm-hmm.
was the ballerina of Auschwitz. And she says in her book that, oh my gosh, she's such a great, great woman. I'm so blessed to have been introduced to her before she passed away. But she says in her book that she has this story, right? She's a survivor of the Holocaust, and she's got all of this. And she goes on to becoming this psychiatrist, and she is working with women who are very entitled women. And one of the women is in her office telling her how upset she is and how devastated she is that her Cadillac came in the wrong color. And Dr. Edie says, I wasn't judging her for that. I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, how
We're
can
like,
you not? That's ridiculous. But
but
this
that's her struggle, I
beautiful
guess.
soul, but yep. And that's what she says. She says, in her mind, this is as big as me surviving
Yeah.
Auschwitz. And I'm like, oh my gosh, bless
Yeah.
your heart. But it is the same. We cannot compare. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot compare.
It's
There
true.
is no such thing as an apple to an apple in the world of human. There's
Right.
not.
Right. And what I love is just appreciating who you are and how you became who you are and what you've gone through
Right.
and learning your story. Like that's my favorite thing is to just learn how people work and how they think and appreciate. I learn from other people. So I
Mm.
love being able to talk to others and just, instead of comparison, adaptation, learning,
Right.
taking the best of you and trying
Appreciation,
to make it me. Hmm. Yeah.
gratitude. How can I serve others with what
Yes.
I have been given? It's
Hmm.
a lot of, you cannot be grateful and complaining at the same time. So if I hear people complaining or in my coaching or in my community, my first instinct is you're not in service of others enough because you cannot be grateful while you're complaining. So I want to ask you this question. You've worn a
Yeah.
lot of hats. You've been the
Yes.
medical question mark, the medical miracle. You've been the corporate. You've had a beautiful corporate career. You've been a mom. You've a wife, whatever. You've got a lot of hats. How were you able to be the woman, Sara the
Mm,
woman? How did you keep
that's a great
yourself, or
question.
did you keep refinding yourself? Because maybe you
You
lost her in it.
Right, you have chapters, right? You're like, that
Mm-hmm.
was sometimes you miss a chapter. Like I missed some of the part. I'm not gonna lie, there were days when I was home with all the kids and someone was throwing up and they all had like stomach flu and
Yeah.
what's for dinner, right? And I was like, I remember when I had 3 secretaries and a beautiful office.
Where's my secretary when I need her?
Lunch was brought to me. Like so you have moments where you miss
Oh,
the
that's
chapters that went
wonderful.
before, but then you quickly remind yourself, "I paid a lot of money for this. I love this. This is amazing."
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes.
And you
It's
regroup.
okay
But
to
yes,
be
of course.
upset while still it's okay to it's not even grieving, but it's those things can exist at the same time. Gratitude and
Yes.
complaining can exist at the same time, but knowing that you love your life and still
Yes.
not being in love with it at that moment are okay.
Yes, and be like, "This is way harder than running 3 hotels." Like, it's so funny how there's
Yes.
just you know what I mean? Like, a huge appreciation for it's funny because my husband and I laugh. I'm like the man in the marriage because of my emotion.
Mm,
He's more moody than I am, and I
mm.
worked for a long anyway, so it's, like, funny, and I'm like, "Oh, man, women, that's no joke. This mother the mothering, and this is I have such an appreciation, and this is so hard, and going to work is so much easier," and, all these kind of
Yeah.
things. It's just funny, but I think, there was a part where I was like, "Uh-oh, I don't know what I'm doing." And that was when we found out my son had autism. I was like, this is way out of my wheelhouse. So I went back to school. And I think if we come to those ports where we don't really know we've lost ourselves or we're underwater a little bit, education is a great tool. And it maybe not going
Oh,
back to school, but
boom.
just start reading books, right? Or just talking to those who know, but educate, 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 and you'll refine yourself. Like for me, I went back to school, thought I wanted to be a therapist, so I studied marriage and family and after I got my degree and started working with families and children, I realized, no, I cannot
Can't
work
do
with
that.
children in trauma. After what I've gone through, I wanted to
Right.
kidnap them on all and bring them home. And I was like, no, this is not good for me. It helped me raise my children and it helped me with my son a lot to understand him and to be a good mom because I didn't pay attention during those mom lessons that we had growing up because I didn't think I was going to
Yeah.
be one. So I kind of
Right.
didn't really pay attention. So I went to school pretty early on and just took small classes here and there and just worked on it slowly because I was like, I didn't even take all the classes in my major. I was like, "Ooh, I wanna know more about this." So I just educated, just took school for, like, 9 years, just had fun taking classes and learning, and it was for me. That was,
Yeah.
something that I had for me. Um, and then it really helped catapult me to what I thought was the next stage, which was therapy when I realized I need to be in a job where it's just joyful, where it's just after years of heavy stuff, I just need to be joyful. So,
I love that so
yes.
much for you. And tell us where that is. Where did you find that joyful spot?
It's so fun. It is I do sales and marketing for nothing but
Everyone
cakes.
that listens here knows that this would be my dream. Like,
I get to just bring cake. Nothing but cakes is so fun and so joyful, and even if someone's having a bad day, I show up with cake and now they're happy, and sales and marketing has always been a love of mine, and so, building the community is important to me, and that's what something I get to do, and just it's just so fun. Just so fun. So, that's what I get to do right now.
what does because I am in a new season. So I have had this community for going on 4 years, and so 4 years of a podcast going, 4 years of podcast, 4 years of my women's community. And so I actually took, I'm going to say 6 months off. We were gone traveling for a year of it. And I guess I didn't record for the year. I still had podcasts going out. So yeah, I guess I mindfully really took off a good 6 to 8 months of it and said, I'm not going to do this. So long way around saying this is season 2. So this is season 2. You are one of the wonderful episodes of season 2. And the season is Live Like Her Now. And you just embody it. I think I probably told you that while we were walking and talking, that I was just blown away by everything you were saying. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Can you please share all of these wonderful things? Because you embody Live Like Her Now. So when I say that to you, when I say Live Like Her Now, what does that resonate or bring out for you in what your hope is for the women listening?
For women listening that are maybe in a stage that's not their favorite stage, they're in a chapter that's maybe not their favorite chapter, it will end and there will be another chapter. Pursue what makes you happy. If you're in something that is not happy, find out why, right? Dig to the bottom of it. If you're in a stage that you love, savor it, right? But I think that for me, there's so many chapters in my story that it's almost like different lives. It's like that felt like a whole different Sarah than this Sarah and that Sarah. But I love all the Sarahs that have brought me to this Sarah. And I know that this stage is a moment and there'll be more chapters. Like this isn't the end. It's kind of like when we feel like we have all our kids at home and nobody's going to school and you're like, I'm going to die in this stage forever. Like they're never going to leave my house. I'm going to be doing this forever and ever. And all of a sudden one day they're all gone. And you're like,
wait a minute, come back.
That happened?
Come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting. It's exciting to reinvent ourselves and to surround ourselves with what I love. I think key, Gina, is to surround ourselves with good women, good people that support us and build us up and remind us if we are in a moment of maybe I would say a non-growing era, like when we feel stagnant, that we have those women that are examples to us that inspire us rather than hurt our self-esteem. They inspire us. And so great women can do that. But here's my thing. After living so many years thinking I was going to die, life is exciting. And it's a gift. Every day is a gift. And if we can just find the purpose of that day, even if it's a small little thing, day is a win. And then the next day and the next day. Because like you said, you never know what tomorrow is. Could hit by a truck, whatever that is.
Yep.
But this too shall pass, or savor it while you're in it. And being a woman now is just, it's a gift.
That's so incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and sharing your story. Remind me the name of your book.
So I am a chocolate addict big time. So I need chocolate with that diagnosis, which is what I said to the doctor when he gave me my diagnosis. I turned to my husband and I said, I'm going to need chocolate with that diagnosis.
I am getting it now.
Okay.
Ladies, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. And I know that everything you said just landed on the right ears that it needed to and resonated with the right person that it needed to, because it's so powerful. Your story is so powerful and your mindset through it and because of it is incredible. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.